Good evening. I hereby call to order the November 24th, 2020 meeting of the Gaithersburg Historic District Commission. For the record, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is still being remotely telecast, so please bear with any of the bumps in the road that we encounter. For our roll call, please answer present when I call your name. Planner 2, Chris Berger.
Present.
Community Planning Lead, Chris Mann.
Greg Mann, but here.
Oh, I am so sorry. It's Greg Mann. Of course it is. Please forgive me. Deputy City Attorney Frank Johnson.
I'm here.
Hi. How are you, Frank? Commissioner Ilya Terra. He was here. I
He's
don't know if you
muted.
could hear us, Ilya. You might be on mute.
Present.
Wonderful.
Sorry, I was muted.
Okay. Commissioner Mark Feinstein.
Present.
Very good. Commissioner Mary Jo LaFrance.
Present.
Commissioner and Vice Chairman John Roddy.
Present.
And myself, Commissioner and Chairman Dean Ventola, says present. Okay, we have a quorum. Next is our preliminary statement, which is as follows. This commission is empowered to meet and act under Article 12 of the City Code of Gaithersburg. The technical qualifications of the staff of this commission and the members of the commission are on file with the City of Gaithersburg, are available on request to any applicant, and are hereby made a part of the legal record of each and every application heard today. Each application heard today is considered on its own merits and is not to be considered as establishing precedent for any other application. Does any commissioner have any conflicts of interest with any application being heard tonight? If so, please raise your hand and verbally indicate so. I see and hear no one. Great, already. Next then is we have one set of minutes, which is from our September 23rd, 2020 meeting. Does any commissioner have any corrections or additions to the minutes? If so, please raise your hand and verbally indicate so. I do not hear or see anyone. Okay. Then I call for a motion to adopt the minutes. May I have a second?
I so move.
Okay, let's now take a roll call to vote on the minutes. When I call your name, please state aye if you support the motion to adopt the minutes, nay if you don't, or abstain if you wish. Commissioner Terra.
Aye.
All right, Commissioner Feinstein.
Abstain.
Okay, Commissioner LaFrance.
Aye.
Commissioner Roddy.
Aye.
Okay, and I vote, Commissioner Ventola votes aye. All right, so that is 4-0 to 1 abstention. Next, we have 2 historic area work permit reviews, which they're also known as HOPs. The members of the public are invited to participate in the HOPs. After the applicant presents their comments, I will then state that the public is now invited to speak. To indicate that you want to make a comment, if you're on a computer or laptop, move your mouse to the bottom center of the Zoom window, and you should see a raised hand button pop up. Click on the button and then we can call on you. If you're dialing in on a telephone, please press 9 to raise your hand. So we have HIST 8678-2020, which is to construct a 1-story rear addition at 102 Brooks Avenue in the R90 medium density residential zone. May we have introduction from staff?
Yes, if the tech team could please pull up packet page 8. And while they do that, the subject property at 102 Brooks Avenue is zoned R90, medium density residential. The folk Victorian style residence is contributing to the Brooks, Russell, and Walker Historic District. The application comes before the HDC in accordance with section 24-227A of the City Code. We can go to the next page, please. The applicant has submitted an historic area work permit application requesting the HDC approve the construction of an exercise room addition on the rear of the residence. If we can go to the next page, page 9. The Brooks, Russell, and Walker design guidelines apply. Here on house design elements, the first bullet, new additional or replacement construction work on existing houses should be compatible with the historical design elements as outlined in the house styles section of these design guidelines. Next, page 10, please. Under new construction for additions, new work must harmonize with the character and scale of the existing house. The new work shall be differentiated from the old. It shall be compatible in height, scale, materials, elevations, texture, color, and details. And if we can go to page 11, please, next page. As I mentioned in the staff report, the house has two fronts. Here is the front along Brooks Avenue. And if we can go to the next page, please. And here is the front along Russell Avenue. The addition will be located to the back, on the back elevation, which is partially shown here. If we can go to the next page, page 13. And here's another view of that rear elevation where the addition will be located. And if we can go to the next page, page 14. And here's another view of that rear elevation. Next page, page 15, please. Now I'm going to turn it over to James Steele of Elevate Design Build for his presentation of the plans. We are also joined by the property owner, Simon Leith. So James, it is all yours.
Thank you, Chris. You'll see by the outline that we tried to give architectural relief on both of the rear corners. Next slide. You'll see the back of the existing house on the left and a rendering of the proposed one-story addition. We tried to emulate the lines of the existing roof and not interrupt the existing windows on the back, and still give us an opportunity for a vaulted ceiling. Next page. These are just elevations of the other side of the house. Next page. And there's just the foundation plan and the wall plan with the windows. Next page. And now you can see the elevation with the new proposed addition, right, left, and rear. Okay, next page. That's just a framing plan. Next page. And just shows the vaulted ceiling. I think we have one more slide. And we believe we have an excellent match for the existing siding. And this product is fiber cement, but it matches quite well. And we will actually trim it to get the to match the 10-inch reveal that's on the existing house. And that's all I had to say.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Mr. Leith, would you like to provide comment?
Unmute myself. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you, yes.
Okay, so the one thing, I mean, I love the plans. I love the way that James made this match sort of the outline of the back of our house and sort of optimize the space. It's going to be the room is 16 by 18, so it's not humongous, but it takes care of a need that we have. You can see I've gained weight during this COVID period. So for me, I'm terrified to go to gyms. I'm terrified to do anything. So my wife, actually, Lisa, who's sitting next to me, said, let's put a gym in the back. And, you know, so for us, the intention is to have, you know, I live in an older home, so I had two options. One, to reinforce the floors that I have, because the current floors I have no subflooring, and we like that. It's the original heartwood pine, and so if I put a treadmill on that, I'd end up in my crawl space. So the idea is to make the extension. This is a very sturdy design that James and his company have put together, and it will allow us to have different pieces of exercise equipment, as well as my daughter, who does art, will have her potter's wheel there. And so it should be a very functional room. And it also gets us on the realms of these are going to be wooden windows as we specified. And the next plan is to take the same windows and redo the windows around our house. I'm not saying I'm doing that tomorrow, but the formation of this room now moves everything so that everything's going to start looking better and better. So for us, you know, we're very excited about that. We don't think it will affect anybody else, and it takes care of a need that we need to be more fit. There we go.
Wonderful, thank you.
You all have questions for me? I haven't done this that often, so.
Okay, and Mrs. Leith, you want to add anything? You don't have to.
No, I think he kind of summed it up. We're very excited, and we love James's design because, again, we feel it really blends in with the nature of the house.
Wonderful. Okay, all right, thank you very much. Chris or Greg, do we have anyone from the public interested in speaking? Chris Berger or Greg?
No, it looks like currently all we have in attendees are the applicants for the next application.
Wonderful. Okay, then we will hear from the commissioners. When I call your name, please state your thoughts and questions for the applicant. First off is Commissioner Terra.
Well, I think I appreciate what James has designed. I think it's in compliance. I don't see it in conflict of the aesthetics of the existing structure, and it's a good functional addition, well thought out from my perspective. And I appreciate the fact that you're matching the down to the reveal of the existing finishes.
Thank you very much. All right, Commissioner Feinstein.
Mute. Yeah, I concur with Commissioner Terra. I think massing it works well with the additional, with the existing structure. I do like the way you work the roof line around the existing windows, which was really thoughtful. I appreciate that. I did have a question that came up with the applicant when he was just talking about what he plans to do in the future with the windows. I guess the existing windows. I know that's not part of this application, but just for consideration in the future. I know you talked about doing new wood windows in the addition, which is appropriate, and I think that will look very nice. Just to take note, when you're looking to update the windows of the existing house, traditionally we look at trying to restore the existing windows prior to replacing. So just keep that in mind moving forward. But that's kind of not here with regard to this application. So I just wanted to mention that though. But overall, I think the design works well with the existing structure, and I think it will hopefully be very functional for you.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. Commissioner LaFrance.
I really just wanted to add an observation. If we could put up page 50, it appears to me that the house had already had a small, narrow addition, and that there's a shadow of where the original door used to be, which is behind the picture where the grill is. I don't know if you can put up page 50 or not, but anyway, I believe that this addition actually improves the rear of the house because of its proportions and design. And that was it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Commissioner Roddy.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Lee, the city applauds your intent, and we wish to keep you around as a taxpayer for a good long while.
Thank you.
Have to say that your proposal is in harmony, both in scale and character with the existing structure, and I would have no problem with it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm next and last. Can we bring up the section? It's drawing, I think, A7. I don't know what page it is in the exhibit.
Let me try to find that. I believe it is packet page 46.
Wonderful, thank you. These two questions are for you, Mr. Steele. My first question is, for the flat roof, what is the roofing covering that you're using?
It's a rubber sealed roof. And that's what's on the upper to second story, I believe.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because when I was looking through it, I couldn't find the covering itself. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't shingles. This is, my next is really a comment. It's not our purview. It's not our business. But when I see something that I wonder about, it's improper for me not to say anything. So with that, here's my thought. If you didn't already think about it, you may want to address the ventilation of the roof. That's a critical thing. And again, it's not our business to say what you should and shouldn't do. But if it's not ventilated or 100% insulated, solid insulated, then you may have problems with condensation and moisture. Now, that's it. Those are my only thoughts. Or questions other than I want to say that this, to me, was an excellent design. Even though it's a small addition, it has so much, it's got a lot of character, but you've addressed all of the proper architectural elements better than many I've seen. And we've been doing this for quite some time on the HTC. The addition greatly respects the existing home's massing, style, material, and details. So if you personally designed it, I want you to be congratulated. You did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
And that's it for me. All righty. Next, then we'll have a commissioners open forum. If anybody has any thoughts they want to throw in, just speak out right now. And I see and hear no one. Okay, very good. All right, next then is, may I have a motion to approve with or without conditions or deny this application?
I move that the Historic District Commission, based on the exhibits submitted, the applicant's testimony and staff report, findings and recommendations, grant HIST 8678-2020, the 288 square foot rear addition, finding it to be in compliance with Section 24-227.2 of the city code.
Wonderful. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, let's now take a roll call on the vote. When I call your name, please state aye if you support the motion, nay if you don't, or abstain if you wish. Commissioner Tara,
Aye.
Commissioner Feinstein,
Aye.
Commissioner LaFrance. You're on mute, Mary Jo. Okay. Aye, very good. All right, Commissioner Roddy.
Aye.
Very good. And Commissioner Bentola says aye. So that's 5-0. Congratulations. You have a beautiful home, and now you'll have a beautiful addition to it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. And thank you, James.
Good job. Good job.
Yeah.
All right. Next then, we have another HIST 8690-2020, which is an addition, roof alteration, paving, and patio at 605 Steinbeck Avenue in the MXD Mixed Use Development Zone. May we have an introduction from staff?
Yes, if we can pull up packet page 68, please. The subject property at 605 Steinbeck Avenue is zoned MXD, Mixed Use Development. If we can go to the next page, please. The England Crown Manor House was built circa 1894, and the application comes before the HDC in accordance with section 24-227A of the City Code. The applicant has submitted an historic area work permit, and the HDC approved the construction of a one-story addition, conversion of the shed roof at the second floor addition to a gable roof, installation of a lead walk and driveway, and installation of a stone patio. However, staff is of the opinion the plans for the front walk, driveway, and patio are not complete enough for you to review tonight, and we recommend the HDC instead provide a courtesy review on those three work items, and the applicant return with fully developed plans with a future historic area work permit. The Historic District Design Guidelines for the Brooks, Russell, and Walker Historic District and individually designated sites apply. If we can go to the next page, page 70, please. So on page 70, under driveways, alleys, and walkways, the third bullet reads, driveway surfaces should harmonize and blend into the overall neighborhood landscape. Acceptable surfaces listed in the order of preference include tar and chip, gravel on asphalt, gravel 3/4 inch or smaller, brick or concrete, and brick tire lines in grass. And the last bullet in that section, walks from the public sidewalks or driveways should be constructed of concrete, brick, or tar and chip. Slate/flagstone are acceptable but not preferred. You can go to the next page, page 71, please. On house design elements, the first bullet reads, new, additional, or replacement construction work on existing houses should be compatible with the historical design elements as outlined in the house style section of these guidelines. And the next page, page 72, please. Under materials, the first bullet reads, the historic character of a property shall be retained and preserved. The removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces that characterize a property shall be avoided. Continuing on the same page, under painting, the second bullet, all trim, including porch railings and floors, should be stained or painted. And the third bullet, the original color and texture of masonry surfaces should be maintained. If we can go to the next page, page 73. Under siding, the fourth bullet reads that stucco and pebble dash variation are either painted or left in the natural color tones. Stucco should be repaired with the stucco mixture, duplicating the original as closely as possible. Next page, page 74. Under roofing, the second bullet, the size, shape, and texture of the original material should be matched if possible. And next page, page 75, please. Under new construction for additions, the new work must harmonize with the character and scale of the existing house. The new work shall be differentiated from the old. It shall be compatible in height, scale, materials, elevations, texture, color, and details. If we can go to the next page, page 76, and this is a photo of the front facade, how the farmhouse looks right now. And the next page, please, page 77. And this is the left side elevation where the addition will be located and where the second floor shed roof at the end is proposed to be replaced with the gable roof. If we can go to next page, page 78. Here's a closer look at that second floor shed roof as it currently appears. And the next page, page 79. And here's a view from the right side elevation of that roof. So if we can go to page 80, the next page, please. So before I turn it over to the applicant and the design team, staff was talking just before this meeting, and we need this plan shown on the screen right now to show the lot lines and dimensions so we can see the addition in relation to the property boundaries. So staff asked for a fifth condition that reads as follows, and I can read this when it's time to make the motion. The condition would read, the applicant to provide a revised site plan showing the addition in relation to the existing lot to be reviewed and approved by staff prior to the issuance of any building permits. And does anyone have any questions before I turn it over to the presenters? Okay, so we have with us tonight Rod Branna of the Urbiz Group, Mike Aubrey of Compass Real Estate, and the future owner, Jill Matthews. So Rod, it's all yours. And if we can go back to page 80 in the packet.
Thank you. Yes, I'll start by giving you a little bit of the context of why we are involved in this project. Ms. Jill Matthews has a contract to purchase this property. Ms. Matthews has been a resident in the city of Gaithersburg for 8 years. She currently lives at the Kentlands. She loves the area. She wants to stay. She has a house that has some space issues for her, She also has, because of health issue, some difficulty navigating stairs, and but she definitely wants to live here. One of the things in the process of her buying this important property is getting the financing. She's applied for the financing, again, just to give you the context. And some of the requirements of the financing is an appraisal, and the appraisal is going to be based partly on what you can do with the house. So these are all elements that set a background for us working for Ms. Matthews to make sure that we meet her goals. This site plan shows where the addition would be on the left rear of the house. I'm sorry, the raising of the roof on the left rear of the house. The space inside, because of the way the roof is currently configured, is 7 feet and lower. We believe that that space may have been used for servants' quarters at some point. There's an interior stairs that goes from that upstairs space straight to the kitchen below. The space being 7 feet and less is virtually unusable at the moment. And that's why we want to raise the roof and continue the style of the main farmhouse. What you can see also in this drawing is that there is a main house, which is an L shape with a porch in the front that over time, given that this was built in the 1870s, 1880s, people have modified and have added to meet the needs of the residents at the time. All the additions have been done in the back, not visible, not prominent from the front of the house, either in the inside of the L or the back, and where our proposal is consistent with that. So you see where the roof would be raised on the back left, and you see the one-story, 141 square foot addition on the inside of the L. Next slide, please. We understand the comment about the patio not being fully defined, but for the sake of giving you an idea of where we'd like to go with this is to create some kind of a more formal patio at the rear. This would be pretty much the outdoor space that Ms. Matthews will enjoy living in this house, with some more bucolic type landscape connecting to one of the outbuildings. As you can see there, a path that is less formal, very landscaped on both sides. Next slide, please. Now we get into the areas where the additions are proposed. I'll start with the roof, the raising of the roof. That's the current roof. You can see that there's a tremendous height difference between that existing low roof and the roof of the main house on the second floor. So that's one area where we want to work. The second area is below, next to the main house, and there's where we're proposing the one-story addition with windows that will be compatible with what's in the old house. And by the way, all the windows right now are probably shuttered and will have to be replaced if they cannot be repaired. Next slide, please. Now you can see our proposal to extend the roof in materials and character from the main house over to that addition so that we can gain the space inside. And on the lower level, again, we're showing the one-story addition, which is similar in character to the rest of the house and follows kind of the pitch of the structure on the front, which is the porch of the house. Next slide, please. Here's a view from what would be the future courtyard back towards the one-story addition and also the raised roof. And we're proposing a door very similar to the style. This would be one way to get out to the courtyard from that main room in the front of the house, and a small window. Again, in keeping with the style of the house. Next slide, please. You can see where the addition is going currently. It's a blank wall, it's stucco. There's a downspout that comes down at the edge of the house, which kind of will serve as a seam, if you will, to delineate the existing two-story and the new proposed one-story addition. You can see also in this photograph where the raised roof will be going. Next slide, please.
The next slide is going to be on packet page 171. These are the 2 pages that came in after the packet was posted.
Thank you. All right, we've done some interior layouts. I call them test layouts because it's probably early in the process to say this is how it's going to be configured. But we wanted to see, given the current location of windows, doors, fireplaces, all the exterior elements that we don't want to affect, what kind of layouts could we come up with, and do they work for Ms. Matthews? And so this is one of those test layouts. Her desire is to have a bedroom on the ground floor, which you can see as one option on the left side of the house where we're doing the addition. She needs to have a restroom and an access to the patio with some storage, and that's what the addition would be used for. It would make her being able to occupy this house much better. The rest of the house, you can see we would keep the kitchen somewhere in the middle. It might go in the back. This is, again, a test layout of how it could work. There's a potential for another bedroom in the back, or we could move the kitchen to the back. Again, respecting all the openings and the fenestration of the building as it exists. For the second floor, the drawing on the right-hand side, as you come up the stairs, there'll be a bedroom on the left with the roof of the addition that you can see behind it. And then the corridor where it would be a bedroom, another couple bathrooms, and another bedroom at the end. There's currently a little balcony. There isn't much access to it, but there is a door and there's a window that would be retained, and that sits on top of what is an open space in the first floor, and which used to be some kind of a gallery, we think, but it, over time it got enclosed as people want to get more space. That gallery wasn't closed. That's pretty much what we have. I don't know if there's another slide or not.
There is another slide, yes. Next page, please.
Okay, thank you. Here again, showing the how the one-story addition and how the raising of the roof fit into the context of the house. As I said earlier, the upper left corner shows the house, the front unaffected, and all the additions and all the work would happen inside the L shape or in the rear of the property.
And I'll add on this elevation, the 2 windows shown on the addition are slightly different than the elevation that we saw earlier in the presentation. So we are going to assume that these are the windows that will be constructed if if Mr. Brana can confirm that these windows are correct shown here.
Yes, and that's why we provided these drawings later, and I'm grateful you were able to include them in the pack.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. Mr. Brana, I didn't pick out I didn't hear when Chris said your role. Are you the builder?
I'm an architect. I'm
You're
trained
an
as an
architect, okay.
Yes.
So you're the architect for this?
I'm working with somebody else on it.
The JA?
Yeah, it's JADS. Yes.
All right,
That's my
okay,
service.
so you're the architect, okay.
We do a lot of renovations in Montgomery County and in Washington, D.C.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. Would Mr. Aubrey or Ms. Matthews wish to speak? Are they on?
I'm trying to unmute myself.
Oh, okay, very good.
Did that work?
We hear you.
Okay, great. Listen, the only thing that I want to tell you is as a greater than 25-year resident of Gaithersburg and one of Gaithersburg's best stewards and a resident of Crown, which is rapidly, I think, becoming one of the jewels of our great city. I think that it's very important that we take this property that has very important historic characteristics and take it from the blighted condition that it's in right now. I worked really hard to find a buyer for this thing and put it together with Westbrook, not only because I live in the neighborhood, but because we needed to find someone who would suitably come and take, I think, again, they burned one of the outbuildings that the city owns down out there and graffiti and things like that. And I think make it something that is a viable part of this community. I've done work with Jill on a property that she has that is that's a investment property of hers in Rockville. She doesn't intend to make this an investment property, but I will tell you that Jill is sort of pseudo-retired and going to be a real pain in the builder's backside, because she's going to be out there every single day making sure that they just right. And I think that's the exact kind of buyer that we wanted for this property. Someone who's a stakeholder in it, who's going to live in it, and who's going to make sure that things are done correctly. I think it's high time that we sort of take this space in Crown and make it better. That's what I got for you.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Ms. Matthews, would you like to say anything?
I look forward to the opportunity and I'm really excited about working on this home to turn it around and fix it up and make it old and all new on the inside. So
Wonderful, okay, thank you so much. All right. Chris or Greg, do we have anyone from the public interested in speaking?
I see no one.
Okay, very good. All right, then let's hear from the commissioners. When I call your name, please state your thoughts and questions for the applicant, any one of the three, if you like. Commissioner Terra?
Well, again, like the previous applicant, I have to commend Rob on a good design. And I do agree with Mike. I think having Jill as a resident, as a vested resident, to take this property and renovate it and occupy it. And so welcome, Jill. I think this is positive. I see all around improvement and better utilization of the building and its form and function. Even the increase, the latest drawing that shows the addition a little bit wider. I think proportionally it balances that elevation. So I think it's all in the right direction from my perspective.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Commissioner Feinstein?
Yes, thank you. Well, the addition on the first floor, I like very much. I think it works really well with the massing of the existing structure. I do have an issue with the changing the roof line to a gable roof on the rear. And if you can bring up the last slide, I guess that would probably.
That's slide 172.
Thank you, Chris. That will hopefully kind of demonstrate what my thoughts are. and why I understand why you want to raise it. And hopefully we can see it in a second. If not, I can just describe it. One of the issues when the roof line did not continue, there was a breaking point in visually. So the fact that there was on the outside face of the L, the inside face of the L, there's a lot of things going on. I think it's very interesting. So it doesn't really, to me, raising the roof line still works because you have, you know, the outside balcony there. You have a couple of different things, and they all the massings play well together. On the outside, you have the area that was underneath the shed roof. That whole elevation has no windows, and it doesn't stick out as much on the existing structure, to me at least, because you know it reads as a different structure with the different roof line. But once you add that roof line in, that carries it across on the right side of it.
That's a good point.
To me, that kind of makes that whole area appear kind of it changes the massing to some degree. And I was hoping that maybe an introduction of a window or two would balance that out and kind of make it work better from just a massing standpoint. And I think that would solve the issue with the height, because I understand the consideration there. But adding the window, I think then would start to really kind of make that elevation work really well. I was hoping that would be something that you guys could consider.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Commissioner LaFrance.
I agree with the placement of the window. I had missed that in massing. Also, on the thing I'm supposed to say, tech team, it's exhibit 113. You can also see that there are no windows in the back along the side of the original portion of the house that's next to the summer porch. And I think that adding an addition there will definitely break that mass up as well, and would be an attractive addition to that corner, because right now there's just nothing architecturally happening there.
Can I interject, Mary Jo, and ask you a question? Are you saying that you're proposing the thought of adding windows to the existing?
On the side that Mark, I'm sorry, I'm not very good with my elevations.
The side that's
the other side.
Oh, I see. Okay, so not the thing that's on the
currently this side, coincidentally, also doesn't have any windows. Have you noticed that? All that big mass with nothing. My guess is that they were eventually removed and maybe covered over with the stucco. But now this is where they intend to put the addition. So I think that will be a nice placement, because then it'll break up that massing. Does that make sense? So I'm actually supporting the addition, and I'm supporting the raising of the roof. I believe that it will actually proportionately be appropriate, but on the other side of it, not the back of the house, the side of the house, where Mark pointed out that with the additional roof raising, now we end up with this big blank space, and it's misproportioned on that side, and that the addition of windows would be appropriate. So I'm agreeing with Mark.
I see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. All right, Commissioner Roddy. John?
Thank you.
Unmute.
I applaud Ms. Matthews for her attempt to rescue this property. I think it's a great idea. Houses of this age, my own included, have had additions and modifications made over the years, sometimes many times. And it's not an unusual matter, but we just try to keep these things so that they're harmonious in style, material, character, and scale with the existing structures. Important to get this right the first time. This is a very, very important piece to the Crown environment. I agree with the compliments that my fellow commissioners have offered, but I have to say I share Commissioner Feinstein's concern about the roof line. That's it.
Okay, wonderful. All right, then I guess I am next and last. Can we bring up a photo of the, I guess, front elevation? It was shown as Exhibit 3 in the attachments that we were received, but any photo of the front elevation will do.
Let me get that page.
Other side.
Tech team, that's page 110 of the packet.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, I guess this might be a question for Mr. Aubrey as the realtor. What struck me in this photo was that all of the windows and the vents are boarded up. Is that because the house is empty and you're afraid of people throwing rocks in, or is that something that is going to be maintained?
I don't want to speak on behalf of David Ramsey and Westbrook, but I think I can, so I will, since you asked me. So they're the owners of the property. The reason why they did that, I actually represent Miss Matthews as her agent, not as the listing agent of the home. Anyway, long and short is, I think that they boarded that up because candidly, they were having, I mean, at one point they had somebody who was a vagrant who was trying to sleep in the building that the police had to escort out. They had kids who were, you know, doing what kids stuff, what they would do down there. And so the reason that they did it was to secure it so people couldn't climb in. Originally what they did was secured just the doors, and they actually had people breaking the windows to go into the structure. That's why it's tight like that.
Even the vent at the gable, at the top gable? I'm just curious.
The vent at the top gable, they probably did to keep animals out, to be very honest.
Okay,
you
wonderful.
know what I mean? I think
That's a great answer. That tells me everything. So Ms. Matthews, is that the first thing you're going to do when you buy the house, is take those off? Is she available?
Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
That would be at the top of the list, right?
Very good. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay. The biggest thing that I have concern with is the detailing of the additions. I believe that it may be best seen on the drawings. Chris, can you pull up, I guess, the elevation and plan drawings?
Those begin on page, let's see. Those begin on packet page 123. Go to the next page.
Yeah, there is a page.
Oh, I'm sorry. These are the original ones. Let's try page 172, the last page.
Great. Okay, great. Okay, thank you so much. All right. How shall I say this? Well, first what I could do is I can start and say that generally when I go and do a review, I go right to the photos and drawings, and then I go to all of the text and the recommendations and the history, etc. So the things that I noticed almost immediately, I'm happy to say on behalf of, I think it was Chris Berger, the 3 or 4 things that he put in for the recommendations, if that was you, Chris, or Greg, or whomever, were things that I noticed immediately and have big concerns also. So the bottom line is, whoever is doing the motion, we should review those exceptions to it and vote on each, but I'm all for all of them. I think there was either 3 or 4. What they are is, if you look at the detailing on the addition, the extension on the bottom left drawing, the rear elevation, that appears to be like an A-frame. But if you look at any of the other gable ends, and you have all 3 elevations to show you the detailing, all 3 of those gable ends on the right side elevation, the left side elevation, and the front elevation do not have the bottom A-frame, bottom horizontal placed. Let's call it the eave or the overhang or whatever. So that is not appropriate to this building to do that detailing. So I strongly believe that the gable end, just like you see at the gable end on the right side elevation, on the left side elevation, you can see the 2-story gable end, and then the peak of the front elevation. That's the detailing that should be used. So essentially, the bottom line is what appears to be missing on the bottom left elevation's triangular section is that the eaves are taken straight across, and they should just be returns. And what I mean by that is, if you look at, let's go to the left side elevation, top right drawing, the 2-story cross gable, towards the right, right of the drawing. Those eaves turn back only about 2 or 3 feet on each end. And that's the appropriate style for this house, but it's also the appropriate style for this style home. So that to me is extremely important to do. The second thing is, if you look at that left side elevation, the top right, the trim, the rake boards, the 2 or 3 layers of the rake boards is also stylistic of the era, but also stylistic detailing on this particular house. You can see it on the front elevation, left side elevation, right elevation. So again, that detailing I strongly recommend needs to be maintained or brought in.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Next then is I have a big concern with let's go to the rear elevation, the right-hand side of the rear elevation, where you're showing asphalt shingles on that roof. 2 things come to mind. First is that it's not appropriate for this style, this particular house, because if you look at the lean-tos, the porches, and that you have, those are metal roofs, and therefore I believe the lean-tos, to be respective of this house itself, design, should be done that way. The third thing is the detailing of the eaves themselves. If we look at the right side elevation at the bottom right, on the right-hand side of it, it appears, maybe it's just a graphic issue, but it appears that that rake board is like 12 inches tall, which makes up what should be really a 4-inch eave and gutter on it, with maybe a 4-inch or 5-inch trim board underneath it. So my point is that the detailing to the left of that new addition should be the same on the addition itself. Is that, do you have any questions? Because I can explain it further if not. I'm in agreement with Mark that the windows or the blank surface on here is accentuated with the 2-story, but to be honest with you, the existing house, I noticed immediately, was like, wow, that needs windows, even before the 2-story addition or 2nd-story addition is added. But because it's now even taller, it's more pronounced that I do agree that perhaps at least 1 window on the lower level will help it a lot. Perhaps, 1 on each level certainly will help it. But maybe just 1 more window would certainly satisfy me down at the lower level. But more windows would be even better. And then what else was there? It may, oh yes. Can we have go to a plan view, please? The drawing plan view.
The page up, page 171.
Okay, I think this is just a graphic error, but I want to make sure this is not done this way. If you look at the bottom of the right-hand drawing, it shows the existing roof has shingles on it. I just want to confirm that that's a graphic error. That's not going to, the existing roof is not being changed.
That's correct.
Okay, that's right. All right, then here's my only other concern. On the bottom, I mean, on the left-hand drawing, which is the proposed level 1, the new addition, which looks like a bathroom and closets. Right now, the new wall on the left-hand side of the house is being aligned with the existing. I think in plan, not a big issue, but I think in reality, it may be difficult to have that new addition work cosmetically with the existing house. Because if you do the new that's flush with the existing, it's going to, I think, show itself as a very difficult task to make one match the other perfectly. And so I'm not saying this is a requirement, but I'm saying for you guys to ponder it, maybe sit that wall in a bit so you do not have the dilemma of trying to match brand new with historic, because I actually think it may be very difficult to achieve. So that's the only thoughts on there. Let's see what else. When I was talking about the new addition, when I was talking about the A frame on the second story not being an A, it needs to be the gable end. One of the other things that this house has, and maybe we can see it again on a photo, Chris, and I apologize to bounce you around on this. We can look at a photo of the existing back elevation.
Okay, let me find one. That will be, let's see. Packet page 79, please.
Oh, that's hard to see that. Well, it kind of, can we show, like, is there another, like from the rear, I guess, or from the other?
You know what, unfortunately, there's not a perfect.
Okay, that's okay.
one of
What I
that.
can do is I can point out the issue that I'm looking for. It's hard to see the roof that's existing that is peaked, but you can see it's right above the existing flat roof, right underneath the right-hand chimney. Okay, that roof extends outward from the face of the rear elevation or the face of the back wall with outlookers. They're called outlookers. So that type of detailing is what this house currently has. And if you look over on the left-hand side of this photo, you can see the cross gable or the peak has the same outlookers, and it's on all of your elevations. So my point is, when you do the addition, please have the outlookers established. So extend your roof past the rear wall, so the outlookers are maintained, as well as the detailing of the returns and the trim. All right, thank you. Let's see, is there anything else? No, other than here's a recommendation. Because the existing roof that we just spoke about has those, the outlookers with the pieces of trim and the ornate pieces, if you can remove them and reuse them on the new addition, that would be marvelous. But I'm not saying that I would even recommend, I mean, other than a recommendation, I would not require it, because there's a great chance that as you're pulling those boards off, they could get damaged. But just like I said, just a suggestion, it would be wonderful if the addition grew and the detailing maintained the same. That would be wonderful. So that's it for me. And so next then is we'll go to the Commissioner's Open Forum. Anyone just jump in if you have any other further thoughts before we go to a vote.
So I want to say that all excellent comments, especially in the detailing and the addition of a window on that elevation. One thing that I've not seen as I've been going through this is any accounting for the base, the stone base around the building. So as we go through that, and the last photograph that we Chris, you had up, it showed one was a stone base, and then it changed to concrete. So I think that needs to be addressed as well as how the building meets the ground as the additions and the. So
Well, let me Let me interject, Elliot. I love your point, but this addition exists as is. And so the question is, should we require them to do anything with it when essentially I don't think it's part of our purview, because the addition itself that we're looking at is existing to be maintained except for the roof. So I'm not thinking, I think it would be wonderful if they chose to add a thin stone base.
Correct.
But I'm not sure that it's proper for us to require it. What does everybody think? Particularly, Frank, what do you think?
Mr. Chair, I think you're correct. Certainly you can make that recommendation, you can make that suggestion, but it is an existing addition. And that's really not part of the application you're looking at right now.
Okay, thank you. But great suggestion, Iliad, and maybe recommend highly to the owners, excuse me, to add that in if they like. Thin stone, not real thick stone, not real stone. It's actually a cement product that looks like stone, and you just glue it on with.
From a neighborhood perspective, FYI, the house is going to have the right, the way that we're setting it up with Westbrook, and I believe the way that Lynn is going to approve it from the city, the house will have the right to opt in to HOA and neighborhood services, but will not, and we did this on purpose, fall under the purview of the HOA's rules for their design review folks, because it's such a different property.
Yeah.
It just didn't make sense, and so we're leaving it out to that end. Because the reason I mentioned it is because the rest of the community does require either brick to grade or stone to grade. You know what I mean? And there's no exposed concrete anywhere in the community for the new stuff.
Got it. Wonderful. All right. Well, yeah. If this was a whole new addition, I think we would all probably say that it should match the stone base, but it's already built and that's not being touched. So I don't think we're allowed to do anything other than a great suggestion to you, which, by the way, Elliot, great job. Okay. Anybody else want to throw in their thoughts or questions? Open forum for the commissioners.
I think one of the questions I have is, as we're approving this or putting it up for a motion, because we do have a lot of comments with regards to the detailing specifically. And I think they're all valid points, and they all, especially on a building like this, which is a prominent building that we obviously everybody here is concerned about and wants to preserve it in the best way that it can be preserved. How do we dictate in our motion the items that are specifically important to us and do it in a way?
I'm sorry, go ahead. Did I interrupt you? I didn't mean to. Well, no, to answer your question,
I'm concerned about that because a lot of times words can't translate into details that we don't see.
That's true. That's true. But I think Chris Berger did it. Chris, were you the one that wrote the recommendations?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
I want to give credit where credit's due. Here's what you can do, Mark, is when I read through the recommendations, I was like, oh my God, he already got all the stuff that I was concerned about. I think the wording is good. I think there's like 3 or 4 of these line items. I can't remember how many. And then we could add the idea of a window if we all feel strong about the 1 or 2 windows. So, okay. So is there, I didn't mean to cut you off, Mark. Do you want to say anything further before we keep opening it up to the commission?
No, I think it's just, I appreciate Chris's comments. I think their suggested comments were very warranted. My concern is not seeing the details in their final form prior to the construction. Like
I see. Well, here's a thought, and I didn't mean to interrupt you again. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's it's whether the words are being interpreted correctly is my concern.
Well, one of the thoughts that I had, I agree with you fully. One of the thoughts I had was one of the things that we do to help clarify is we always say replace in kind, which is crystal clear because it's there. When it's done, it has to look like what's there. We, in this particular case, are not going to replace. So I'm saying let's install in kind. So the detailing needs to match the existing is what we could say.
So if I want to add to what Mark just mentioned, I think to have clarity on this, in the resubmission, what I would recommend is that we have drawings that articulate that beyond words. So
So
we
are
actually see that.
well, there's only going to be a resubmission for the site work, from what I understand. Am I mistaken, Chris Berger?
That is correct,
Right.
although
So we don't want to, Iliad, I don't believe, let me restate that, I'm sorry. I'm not sure we want to postpone this to get more details. We have the right to do that if you guys want to. If Mark and Iliad and others say, you know what, there's really not enough, let them redraw it and come back. That's up to you guys. I will support that.
If I can interject real quick,
Yes.
just to make everyone aware, the conditions of approval do require them to revise the plans for staff satisfaction before they can get a building permit. So the plans will be revised and resubmitted to staff to ensure that they meet, again, the conditions of approval as outlined by the commission's discussion tonight.
That's a good thought. That's a very good thought. But to add into this, we have the ability to say that the drawings are not complete because the detailing wasn't done properly. So I think we have a legal right to do it. But I like Greg's suggestion that it will go before staff to get final approval. That's fine by me if it's fine by the commission.
I would add that all the suggestions are very welcome and good suggestions. So from our perspective, there's nothing that we would see as an obstacle to implement the suggestions. As a matter of fact, the idea of adding windows is a very welcome suggestion. It would make those rooms much better.
Big time. Listen, we couldn't be any more tickled that you guys brought up the idea of adding windows, because getting some more light in that house is awesome. And we were sort of staying away from it because we thought you were going to say no. So I think you'll find that that's well accepted from our side. From my perspective, the only thing I'm hoping for before you guys take a vote, we need to know that this addition is going to be granted from you guys in order to move her loan forward. I need to be able to go to the bank and say, even if you want detail stuff, you know what I mean, which I'm cool with, and I don't know how you're going to vote on that. I need to be able to say they're going to let us have this addition because it's going to directly implicate how much money they give her. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense, and I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you gave us that information. That's very important to me, at least. So thank you. Okay, good. All right, any other commissioner want to throw in any other thoughts or questions before we go to a vote? I hear no one. I see no one. Okay, very good. All right, so now, may I have a motion to approve with or without conditions, or to approve with or without conditions, or deny this application?
Just, I think it'd also be good. I mean, there's a fifth condition that staff has recommended tonight that's not in the packet. So maybe good to have Chris read that one in again to the record.
Yes.
But additionally, listening to the commission's comments about the additional window, it may be beneficial to also add a condition to that extent as well. Again, to be reviewed by staff prior to the issuance of any building permits.
Okay, good. All right.
Yes, I actually, oh, am I muted?
No, we can hear you.
Okay, good. I actually have 7 conditions based on everything we talked about.
Wow. Okay, so are you willing to make a motion?
I will certainly try.
Well, you know what? You're the strongest one of all of us because you always come through for us. Everybody else just scatters. You're the only one. You're so tough. You're so strong.
Just to clarify, I guess, is the commission comfortable with the 4 conditions that we currently have in the packet?
We're gonna go through
Oh,
them
yes.
one at a time. We're gonna go through, and Mary Jo's gonna hit 7. We're gonna hit each one.
So yes, I was going to read each one and then the additional 3 that we've added. Does that sound all right to everyone? Okay, good.
Yeah. Now, actually,
Right.
because the list is long, I think that it would make most sense if we, as a commission, vote on each one at a time. Does that sound okay to everybody, all the commissioners?
Sure.
Does
Just
anybody have any objection to it?
you just give me a chance to pause and then everybody can vote and then start again. I suppose that's what we're going to want to do here. Okay, so I move that we approve HIST 8690-2020 addition roof alteration. Let's see, that the Historic District Commission, based on the exhibits submitted, the applicant's testimony and the staff report, findings and recommendation, grant, HIST H690-2020 addition and roof alteration, finding it to be in compliance with Code 24-227.2 of the City Code for 4, which is now 7 conditions. 1, the addition must be covered with a crimp metal roof.
Okay, so does everybody understand, do all the commissioners understand what that means? Are you raising your hand, Mary Jo? For
For a
what
yes.
question? Oh, for a yes, okay. All right,
For
so,
aye.
well then what I'll do is I will just take the roll. Okay, so Commissioner Tara
Aye.
is, so that's a yes, okay. All right, that's a yes for number 1. Commissioner Feinstein,
Yes.
okay. Mary Jo, you already said
Yes.
yes, okay. John?
Aye.
Good.
Aye, okay, and I say aye. All right, next, number 2 then, please, Mary Jo.
Number 2, the gable end of the second floor roof alteration must be stucco.
Okay, gable end of the second roof alteration must be stucco. Okay, Elliot,
That's an aye.
all right, Mark,
Aye.
Mary Jo,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and I say aye. All right, number 3, Mary Jo.
Okay, the applicant must include trim along the roof line of the new addition and the new gable end that matches the material and size of the existing trim.
Okay, before we vote on that, Mark, does that wording meet your needs?
No, yeah, I've always thought the wording was fine. It's just a matter of having the interpretation of that wording, and I think what Greg said satisfies that. If there, as long as the drawings are
Okay,
are checked prior to issuing the building permit.
okay, very good. All right, so then for number 3, Iliad,
That's an aye, and I concur with
Okay.
what Mark just said.
very good. All right, Mark,
Aye.
number 3. All right, Mary Jo.
Aye.
All right, John,
Aye.
and Dean says aye. All right, number 4, Mary Jo, please read.
Applicant must submit a separate HAWP for all site work, including construction of the stone patio, lead walk, and driveway.
Very good. All right, Iliad,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Mary Jo,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and Dean says aye. All right, then you said there's 3 more, so let us.
Yeah,
let it
now
rock and
number
roll.
5, I might need some help with from Chris, but he wanted a review of the addition in relationship to the existing lot. Is that correct?
Is
Chris?
this,
Yeah,
is this Chris additional?
Chris Berger.
Chris Berger,
Yes.
yeah. So is that the one you wrote up, Chris? Do you want to just read it to us?
yes, and I can read it to you again. The applicant
Yeah.
to provide a revised site plan showing the addition in relation to the existing lot to be reviewed and approved by staff prior to the issuance of any building permits.
Okay, very good. All right, so condition number 5, Elliot, yay,
Aye.
nay? Aye, right, Mark,
Aye.
Mary Jo,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and Dean says aye. All right, Mary Jo, number 6.
Okay, so this, I'm gonna have to partially leave up to staff as to how many. But I thought it was appropriate to have a condition to add wood windows.
Okay, that's a great idea. That's an
I believe
excellent
the
idea.
windows are already indicated as wood on the plans. I can
So
double
it
check
says the
that.
word would?
Yeah, let me double
But we're
check
talking
that.
about new, how would I want to say, something that that wasn't on the plan earlier. I'm talking not about just windows that we talked about, but windows also
For the addition.
where the
Yeah.
addition is going.
Yeah,
exactly.
what I think Chris is saying. Go ahead.
I actually, I am not seeing that. I am not seeing that on page 172. So that is the perfectly relevant,
Wonderful.
perfectly
Okay.
relevant condition to add.
Excellent, Mary Jo. Okay, so then all
But if I may
new
comment in
windows.
terms of
Yes,
the,
sir.
in terms of the number, we could say uh, between 2 and 4 windows. Would that satisfy?
Well, if your question is the quantity of new windows we're requesting, that's not at hand right now. The question at hand, if I'm not mistaken, and please correct me, everybody, if I am, is the issue that we're voting on right now is, do we require all the new windows, all the windows on the new additions, anything you're putting in to be wood, not
Yes.
vinyl?
And
So that's what we're doing right
that's
now.
our,
Yeah.
that's our
Okay.
intention, yes.
Okay, very good. All right, so for condition number 6, all windows to be wood. All new windows to be wood, okay? And so based on that, Elliot, your vote
Aye.
on, okay, Mark?
Aye.
Mary Jo?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And Dean says aye, all right? Okay, Mary Jo, number 7, I think.
And number 7 is okay, let's see. All new materials installed must match existing architecture.
Okay.
Was that trying to fix what Mark was concerned about in the way of details?
Well, here's what I'm wondering.
Install in kind, but I
Well,
don't
here's what I'm
know.
wondering. Didn't it get
Yeah.
addressed earlier? Was it maybe number
Okay.
3? I actually have the list. Let me look here.
So do you think that's
Gable cover.
redundant, or do
Number
you
3,
think?
yeah, I don't want to be redundant. I don't mind adding to number 3, but I don't think we need another line item. Right now, number 3 says the applicant must include trim along the roof line of the new addition and the new gable end that matches the material and size of the existing trim. Do you want to reword that in any way, Mary Jo?
I would be satisfied to leave it at the 6 conditions if we all agree that
Okay.
number 3 covers it. Thank
Okay,
you.
The only other
then number
condition was-
7 would be the new windows,
New windows.
1 or 2 new windows.
No,
Did I
6.
interrupt you, Mark? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was about to
6.
bring up the new windows for 7, yeah.
Yeah, number 7 would be the new windows. So now,
Oh.
I'm sorry, Mary Jo, go ahead.
Yes.
Do we want to say we want at least 1 window, or do we want to say we want at least 2 windows?
I personally
very
think
good
there's
question.
one on the upper
At least
story
2.
and one on the lower story.
Okay, that's one, okay, 2 new windows, one above the other is what Mark's suggesting. Let's hit that as a question.
Could we
before
leave
we
it?
Vote on 7. Go ahead.
Could we have a minimum of 2 to 4? And just go that way, they don't have to do 4, but at least 2.
Well, sure, you can recommend that. I think that you're talking about on that side elevation to put 4 new
Yeah.
windows?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would, okay, so let's, before we vote on line item number 7, if it's in or out, let's
Yeah.
now vote instead on how many windows. 'Cause it sounds like all of us want a new window. So the question is, do we want 1, 2, or more? So 1, 2, or more. Elliot?
I would say between 1 and 2, no more. I think it.
Well, let's do a minimum. What I'm trying to do is say a minimum because we're doing a directive.
Minimum 1, maximum 2.
Well, all right, do you want a max 2? Because I wouldn't mind more windows if they're interested in. What about the idea of just minimum 1?
Yeah.
Is that okay, or do you say more than 2 is bad?
I would say more than 2 becomes excessive aesthetically.
Oh, okay, all
proportionally.
right. Then all right. So minimum 1, max 2. All right. Mark, what are your thoughts? Oh, you already said you want
Like
2,
2.
right? Minimum 2. Okay, very good. All right,
And
Mary
max 2,
Jo?
actually.
I'm so sorry.
I think I kind of agree with Iliad that more than 2 becomes too much.
Okay, good. All right, good. Minimum 2, max 2. All right. And
I
Mary
could
Jo?
make a comment. When
Yes, sir.
when we eliminate the gable and raise the stucco, if you look at all the other conditions and where that happens, there's always a small window at the top.
Yeah.
So I would like that to be in addition to whatever maximum.
Yeah, we were,
Oh, yes.
I think it's a great point. We were just talking on that one elevation, but on the gable end, I think would be nice.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we have to spell that out, and that's a very good point. So the new windows on the right elevation towards the rear, that's what we want to say is the 1 or 2. and then more windows on that are around the building. We're not limiting your windows around the building.
If I could interject, I think we could wrap this into one condition,
Okay.
maybe stated in a way, applicant to work with staff to add additional windows,
Okay.
prior to issuance of building permit,
Okay.
to explore the opportunity of adding additional windows. That would give them the opportunity to
Okay.
work with the architect and staff.
Okay. I agree with
to
that.
figure out what the correct number is and the right location and placement.
All right. Let me finish out the discussion though. So Mary Jo, for that right side elevation towards the rear, how many windows are you thinking?
I actually agree with what Greg Mann just said about exploring the
We
window
will, we
options
will.
with staff.
I do think that that's where
yeah.
we're going to go, but I want to get everybody's opinion before we
Okay.
make a conclusion.
2 to 4, but
2 to
I'll
4. All right. And John, what are your thoughts on the minimum max windows?
2.
2 min, 2 max? Okay. I as well. I can say 1 min, 2 max. All right. So it looks like before we finalize this, I'm going to give a suggestion on the final on it. But it looks like most of us are saying 2, 1 to 2 is good. Minimum 1, preferably 2, maximum 2 is most of us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out of the 5 of us, 4 out of 5 said that. So I like Greg's suggestion. If we say the applicant to work with staff on quantity of windows, does that sound good to each one of the commissioners? Does anybody
Yes.
have an objection to that?
No.
Okay, so there you go. So that it will be all 7 of us I'm assessing is accepting that the applicant to work with staff on windows.
Yeah.
Quantity, all right, quantities. All right, very good. So now that we have the a motion with the 7 conditions, do we have a second?
If I could just, one more, I
Yes, sir.
apologize. Is it okay if we check with the applicant to ensure they're also okay with the conditions?
That's a great suggestion. So let's hit the 3 applicants, the 3 that are here. Let's start out with Mr. Brana. Is that acceptable on the windows?
Yes, acceptable.
Okay, Mr. Aubrey?
From my perspective, I'm the great spender of other people's money, so the more the better.
Okay, right. And most importantly, Ms. Matthews, are you okay with that?
Jill, you're muted.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, very good. All righty. Did we get a second on the motion yet?
I'll second it.
Okay. All right. So then, all those in favor, I'll take the roll call. Aye, nay, or abstain. So, Commissioner Terra,
Aye.
Commissioner Feinstein,
Aye.
Commissioner LaFrance,
Aye.
Commissioner Roddy,
Aye.
and Commissioner Ventola says aye. So that's 5-0 that the motion with the 7 conditions passes. So I hope the applicants, all 3 of you guys, are okay with our process and our conclusions. And you can see that we certainly have spent a lot of time addressing each one of these issues. And we took nothing lightly, as you can understand. We do think you have a beautiful place, a beautiful home. And we hope that our suggestions and our requirements work well with you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Very good. All right. Thank you. Okay. Next then is anything from staff.
All I have is to remind you that we are going to have a December meeting. It'll be Wednesday, December 16th. And other than that, happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Greg, anything?
Good night.
Good night. Thank you very much. It's
Nothing
nice
for me
meeting you
tonight,
guys.
other than happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Well, that's wonderful. And Frank, anything?
No, happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Anything from the commissioners? Just jump in.
Commissioner LaFrance,
Wishing
you're
everyone a
muted.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, right. Nobody wants to do Thanksgiving.
I thought that we were going to be doing a courtesy review
Oh,
Or-
for the back stone patio and the walkways and the
We are.
driveway
I mean,
for,
I'm sorry, you
but at a
know,
later time?
no, you're absolutely right that that was in the documentation. I thought, and this is my mistake, I thought that that was decided that we needed to see drawings.
Oh, I'm okay with it. But may I just put
Yes.
it out there, since staff is going to be working with them? I was simply going to suggest that I would appreciate possibly the contractor, whoever's going to help them, look at 1894 Gothic revival style gardens, because it looks to me like, from what I've been able to research, that there's a lot of greenery, shrubberies, flowers, bushes, more like a garden situation. And I was hoping they could find something appropriate that would be age appropriate for the house.
Okay.
Wonderful suggestion.
So I don't know if it was right for me to speak that now, but.
Yes, well, it's my mistake that we essentially adjourned that, and that was my mistake, because I made the, I was under the belief that that's being tabled, and it's my mistake if that's not been tabled. And your
Well,
suggestion
anyway,
is
now
good.
staff knows
Yeah.
where I'm thinking, and maybe then they can talk to the applicant.
That's a great
Okay.
suggestion. Yeah. Are you more in thinking of the rear elevation or the backyard? Because it looked like that patio was quite a large size. Or are you thinking of both the front and the back?
I was, well, certainly I'm sure that the owner of the house will do some landscaping at some point. But since they wanted an area where they could entertain, I was just trying to make a suggestion about what might be appropriate, give them some natural barrier between the public that walks by on all sides, with some, shrubbery and bushes, sometimes flowering things. I mean, there's a host of stuff that can be looked up and researched, but could be nice and cozy and beautiful.
I think it's an excellent suggestion, really. That's a wonderful idea. Do you have any images that you found online that you can just
I
send
did.
over?
I did, and I certainly could submit them to Chris to share
Yeah,
with
I
everyone.
think that'll give them a great idea. And
Yeah.
frankly, if the owner likes them, she might do them, so that's a wonderful thought. And I think that the three applicants are seriously interested in making this a wonderful place. So they'll welcome it. And that's a great suggestion that you have.
One thing, Dean, that
Yes, sir.
I would also recommend that we bring to their attention, I think you raised a great point in terms of a slight jog or reveal in the addition on the left side of the left elevation between the new and the existing stucco. So whether they jog it in, 6 inches or whatever it may be, or do a detailed review. I'm looking at that elevation, and proportionally, I think if we differentiate a little bit, it looks more apropos with the aesthetics of the era, and it makes it a very symmetrical, balanced elevation.
Well, thank you. I agree with everything you said, but at this point in time, all it is a suggestion. Because we already voted.
That's all.
Yeah, and I don't think it needs to be 6 inches. I mean, 6 inches is better, a foot is better, 2 feet's better, the offset. But I think 4 inches would give them the break line. So Chris Berger, if you can just offer that as a suggestion. It's not a requirement whatsoever because it's not in one of the conditions. So if they don't want to do it, it's not our business anymore to deal with it or address it. Okay, anything further for anyone?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Good one, good one. All right, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We are hereby adjourned.